When Christianity first arrived in the British Isles, it made landfall in Cornwall. A few centuries later came Cornwall's most beloved saint, a man named Piran. Saint Piran of Cornwall is not a well-known saint outside of his homeland. A lot of what we know about him is a mixture of life and of legends, and it is difficult to know for certain what things are true and what things have been added in the following centuries. For instance, later legends regarding him are in sharp contrast to most monastic saints. It is said that one of the reasons Piran so impressed the Cornish locals was that he could outdrink any of them. This seems to have served him well and poorly at the same time, because the legend says he lived to over 200 years of age. However, one night, being rather tipsy after a night of drinking, walking back home to the monastery, he tripped, fell into a well, and died. Suffice to say, he is a beloved folk hero in Cornwall, and his life is celebrated every year with fairs and festivals. My family lived in Cornwall, and so we felt that it was right to do an episode about a local saint there, because he deserves to be known outside of his home country, even if that story is somewhat strange. Cornwall is in the southwest of the United Kingdom. It's an area famous for pastries and cream tea, a few Arthurian legends, and stories of famous pirates and smugglers. The famous novel Treasure Island starts at a real-life pub in Cornwall. If you're familiar with stage and operettas, Pirates of Penzance is set in Cornwall. It is an area that has its own history and culture distinct to that of the rest of the United Kingdom. The ancient Cornish language is being revived today. It also has a distinct and special honour in being one of the earliest places associated with Christianity in the British Isles. We have talked in another episode about St. Joseph of Arimathea, an earthly relative of Jesus Christ. He was a merchant of tin, and that was how he made his fortune, from the tin mines of Cornwall. After the resurrection of Jesus Christ, Joseph of Arimathea journeyed back to Britannia. While his first preaching and his first ministry was famously done in Glastonbury in the region of Somerset, he made landfall at his familiar harbours of Cornwall. While Christianity grew in Britain in those early years, it did not take hold for several centuries, and it wasn't until the 5th century that Cornwall's greatest missionary arrived. Saint Piran was not Cornish. He was actually from Ireland. There he had been a monk and involved in ministry and mission. He had performed several miracles. He had healed several kings from diseases. He had been involved in the world there. But due to jealousy and rage at Christianity, a pagan king condemned him to death. And the sentence was actually carried out. Piran was tied to a stone, and in the middle of a storm was thrown off an Irish cliff. And here is the beginning of the strange story and ministry of Piran. It is said that when he hit the water, the storm ended, and far from sinking with the stone floated, and Piran took hold of it. His killers watched in disbelief as Piran simply floated away. Piran floated, it is said, all the way to Cornwall. When he landed and extricated himself from being tied to the rock, he decided that this was where God had sent him, and it was here that he would bring the gospel of Jesus Christ. He began to preach to the locals and was beloved by the animals due to his deeply peaceful spirit. It is said that he would go from place to place followed by his 3 best friends, a fox, a badger, and a wild boar. By the time Piran landed in Cornwall, the ancient Roman tin mines that had once made the region so rich had long been closed, and the smelting processes had been forgotten. It is said that it was Piran who rediscovered how to bring the valuable tin out of the black stone, and that when he first ran his experiment, the tin leaked out in the shape of a cross, a bright white cross on the black rock of Cornwall. He saw this as a symbolic event, the light of Christ shining in the darkness, and in honor of this event, and in honor of Christ's victory over darkness through the power of his light, the flag of Cornwall today is a white cross on a black background. Not necessarily the flag of a pirate, but the flag of a saint unusual enough to feel a bit like a pirate. Today, many holy wells in Cornwall, many Cornish towns, a mountain in Canada, and a hermit crab in Cornwall are all named after St. Piran. St. Piran's Day celebrations across Cornwall bring in thousands of visitors every single year. And in a world where often we are still struck with darkness and with evil, let us remember the white cross of St. Piran that even out of the darkest of rocks comes light, because Christ's light shines in the darkest of places, the darkness of the world and the darkness within our own hearts. Christ brings light to all. We were trying to think of what kind of tea would accompany an episode about a jolly sort of piratical legendary saint, and we chose one that when I first was given this, I thought it would taste terrible, but it's really nice. It's cocoa, almond, peanut, and rooibos. I honestly didn't think I'd like it, but it's a lot of fun, and it's a really enjoyable tea, and Cornwall is very much worth visiting if you haven't been. Hooar.